Aadharshila is a platform for intellectuals converging from diverse spheres of knowledge to share novel, deep, and insightful ideas of intellect that fuel thought, conversation, and action of the minds of our audience. We believe in fostering ideas that are both highly relevant and radically different to enrich the minds of our audiences. Joining us on this platform from across the country and the world, we strive to bring you the most accomplished and inspiring speakers that ignite invaluable knowledge sparks to spread the light of continuous learning and development among educators, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. RRIS is delighted to host you on this delightful journey by facilitating this platform as our way of giving back to the community and stakeholders that keep us motivated. And of all things, we expect just one thing from you to share this light of knowledge with your friends, family, peers, and your network. Do invite them to register for these sessions or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramratna International School Official. Thank you for joining in today, and we look forward to an inspiring session. Onward we go, forward we march. Best wishes from Ramratna International School.
Namaste, good afternoon to all our participants, to all the attendees from Ramratna International School and from various schools across the country, to the school heads, school leaders. And I would like to check with our speaker for the day, Aadharshila, for the day, Miss Alaknanda ji. Namaste. I hope you can hear me, you can see me. Yes, I can see you now. You're on mute, ma'am.
Right. I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to you. Gratitude to you for being at Aadharshila. We are really looking forward to today's talk. Before I invite you over, I would like to introduce you formally to this gathering of our educators at the 88th Aadharshila Talk at RRIS. This is Dr. Jaya Parekh, the principal of Ramratna International School, extending a warm welcome and gratitude to all the participants and to our Aadharshila, Ms. Alaknanda ji. Friends, I have a question for you. When you think of stories in the classrooms, which subject usually comes to your mind? I'm looking for your answers in the chat, and please participate. Which subject comes to your mind when you talk of stories in classrooms? History, languages like Hindi, English, yes, languages, moral science, history, English, history, moral stories. Okay, thank you. So mostly it is languages and social studies. So friends, you all come from different subject backgrounds. How many of you have tried storytelling as a pedagogical tool in subjects other than languages and social studies? Yes, Miss Nisha says me, and I guess you're talking about science. Then other teachers, come on. I have tried this in chemistry. Miss Deepa, I think she's talking of ICT, computers. Mr. Manish for math. Yes, tried once. Miss Champa, then yes, we are coming up with teachers who have tried it in subjects other than languages and social studies. That is wonderful. So here we have a gathering of teachers who consider themselves as learners first. So today we will learn from Miss Alaknanda how this pedagogical tool of storytelling can be incorporated by all of us, irrespective of the subject and the grades we teach, how to integrate the stories into our lessons, how to bring in that skill of critical thinking and imagination and creativity in children through storytelling. NEP also stresses on storytelling as a pedagogical tool. It mainly emphasizes on its use at the foundational level. But I feel, and I'm sure we all feel, that stories appeal not only to children, but all of us. So it's not just limited as a pedagogical tool to pre-primary or the primary section, but to all the learners in our classrooms and across all the subjects. So today, let us welcome Ms. Alaknanda, who is the founder, director of the of Institute for Multi-Lingual Education, IMLiE Pune. Ma'am is a passionate educator, teacher, trainer, and researcher. Her institute has supported NGOs, schools, and Anganwadis to support their reading and library strengthening programs. It has anchored the translation of 100 Marathi storybooks into Kolami tribal language with the support of Pratham Books to further its objective of creating reading material for children in their own language. Ma'am's organization has conducted workshops in rural Pune, supported reading programs in Mumbai, and tribal parts of Madhya Pradesh. Ms. Alaknanda has worked as an education program officer with the Tata CSR Group, Ambedkar University Delhi, and other NGOs. She has studied at JNU Delhi and at the National Institute for Education Planning and Administration. Her research interests are in the areas of early childhood education, language learning, socio-emotional learning, and more. In the last few years, Ms. Alaknanda ji has been particularly interested in research related to impact of storytelling in classrooms. Without any further ado, I invite Ms. Alaknanda to take us through this journey of becoming better storytellers as educators. We look forward to gaining that confidence from you from this talk, 88th Aadharshila Talk. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jaji. Thank you. I'm very, very glad to be here and very glad to see such a large gathering of teachers. Um, I'm sharing my screen. Or
Alaknanda ji, I'm not able to hear you. Neither can I see the screen being shared. Is it a network issue at my end or your end? Would someone please confirm?
No, ma'am, even we can't see our presentation.
Okay. Ma'am, if you do not mind, can we share the presentation from our end? That would save the bandwidth. Also, if you prefer switching off the camera so that
but I
your voice is also breaking, I think that's because of the connectivity issue.
yeah.
Hello. Ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you that we can't hear anything from your end. I suggest you try to keep the camera off and then speak, probably then it would be clearer. Hello. Okay, friends, hang on. It seems ma'am is trying to rejoin and probably trying to connect through some other source of network. So please bear with us. I see a new participant here who has kept the camera on as she's the only one I see on the screen. Namaste Ranjani ji, how are you? And from which school you are attending this talk today?
I hope I am
Please
audible
unmute
now.
yourself.
I work with Kerala Public School Kadma, which is
Okay.
in Jamshedpur. I've been following you since last 1.5 years and more now. So it's been
Should I take that as
because
a
of Vijayam
compliment?
Karta ma'am. It is Vijayam Karta ma'am who keeps forwarding all the messages. And I have been a storyteller for my moral science. As a school
Wonderful.
counselor, I was given the subject of moral science, and that's how this storytelling interested me more. I'm looking forward to the session, Principal
Oh,
ma'am.
we are glad to have you. So
Yeah,
glad,
thank
Miss
you,
Ranjani.
ma'am.
Is this
Bye.
your first Aadharshila talk that you are attending?
Come again? I couldn't hear you.
Is this your
No.
is this your first
There are
Aadharshila?
several. There was one session on NEP something and social, emotional, psychological
Right.
aspects you had touched upon. There are a lot of sessions. Yeah, I
I
think she's
think
back.
Miss
Yeah.
that's good to know. I think Alaknanda ma'am is back here with
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. I hope the issue is sorted now.
Yeah. Um, yeah, can I be heard?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are.
Would request Nishita if she can please present the.
Ma'am, your voice is again breaking, but I think you are asking Miss Nishita to present. Nishita, if that's the case, then please start the
Yes,
presentation.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Ma'am, I suggest you to try keeping your camera off. That might save the bandwidth and we could hear you clearly. I feel that would work.
Present, yeah. Yeah.
She's presenting.
Okay.
Nishita, we can't see yet.
Yes, ma'am. I'm present. Just a minute.
And that's why it said the technology can never replace a teacher. A teacher is reliable, technology is not.
Really like, if I were in person present with everyone.
Yes, ma'am. I hope you
Visible.
can see the presentation now.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
visible.
Alaknanda, ma'am, can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. Yes. Right. So, as we are all here, in the day, and I want to request everyone to just quickly share about your day in three emojis, 2, 3 emojis, uh, and together send us. Was it really taxing? They try to really great, relaxing. Someday and school. It's, I can see there's it's coming in. So we have smiley.
Alaknanda, ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you that your voice is breaking. Is it possible for you to change the location of where you are operating this from?
Right. You can see. No. on the device that helps. I can see a lot of them with the emojis coming in. We still
Yes,
have
ma'am. Yes.
a tough day.
Yes, we have got responses, but I'm just telling you that your voice is breaking. The participants have understood the question and are responding.
Right. So we have a lot of emojis coming in. Thank you for sharing. So next slide. What did we do? What are we trying to do here? Thank you, Narmada. Arva. Thank you. Sarina's day is going good. A lot of them are having very good days. So I'm very glad to see that. Right. Yes. You're right. You're telling a story through emojis. So what did we do? What are we doing? What we are trying to communicate here. Very nice, Veena. Right. Oh, someone is having a sleepy day. Good, good. I'm so glad to see all you are having. Yes, we are conveying feelings. That's right. Right. Visual thinking. That's a good line. Right. So, what are we doing? We are using emojis. We are using a new kind of vocabulary. And through that, we are trying to communicate a set of emotions, a set of experiences, trying to get across, communicate to our, friends here. Communicate without words. That's right. That's right. So, thank you. Moving on to the next slide. What is storytelling? Storytelling is what we are doing here, trying to tell an interesting anecdote, an interesting experience, trying to communicate it to someone in an engaging manner. And I would like to, Nishita, next screen. Yeah, good.
Meanwhile, the participants can write the answers to the statement here. Today, we want to complete the sentence based on your expectation from today's session. We want to
Yeah. So these has the slide moved on? Because I'm not able to see the slide moved on.
yes, ma'am, it has.
That's the only thing. Okay.
It says today we want to, and then
Today we want
participants
to.
have to.
I'm 1 minute. I'm trying to. So we'll go on to the next slide. So what we are going to try and do today here is understand storytelling better, understand how storytelling can be used better in our own context, and how do we help children learn better with storytelling, how we can use this skill and have a lot of fun when we are engaging in the class. We are going to meet a teacher here today. Her name is Asha. This is Asha. Asha teaches in a government school in rural Pune. She is a teacher in Baramati. And In the next slide, we can see Asha School. This is Asha School. Like any other government school, it's a big school with the primary and upper.
I think ma'am got disconnected.
Yes, ma'am has got disconnected. If you remember any of your teachers who used to teach you through stories, would you just take a moment to remember such a teacher from your school time or college time and write the teacher's name? That will be like a tribute to that fantastic teacher until ma'am joins us.
Asha
We all,
attends. Asha is attending a workshop today, and this workshop we are going to attend with Asha. Let's see the workshop that she's attending today. It's integrating stories for effective learning, and let's begin. So, today's workshop is on storytelling for effective learning. The agenda, the topics that we are going to cover today is what is storytelling understood as since how long we have been using stories, the benefits of storytelling for children, and what are the elements of a story. How do we use these elements as as tools, as strategies for creating stories and using stories to make our lessons more interesting and engaging. So, has storytelling be is it a new trend? Is it something that we have started just doing recently? I don't think so. Look at this. Do you do you recognize this picture? This picture is the ancient art of storytelling being practiced. This is the evidence. Yes. In general, it is useful to everyone. That's right. That's right. So this is Panchatantra. We have had a long history of using storytelling as a means to engage the students and teaching them. Vishnu Shastri, who was the Vishnu Varma, who was the uh, guru there, was using stories within stories like Russian dolls. These animal fables were used to teach poor princes about the many ways in which relationships, people, uh, good governance should be practiced. So a lot of teaching did happen through stories. Stories is a very ancient form of teaching. It's a very valuable form of human expression. We are communicating through it. It's an interactive art of using words and actions to reveal the elements and images and encouraging the listener's imaginations. Why do we use stories? Children have an innate love of stories. Stories create magic and a sense of wonder at the world. This is primarily why stories are slightly different and much more fun than lessons. And when we today are saying कि storytelling use करना चाहिए, why are we saying this? Because our classrooms can become a magical place when we engage with stories, when we bring this wonder and fun into our classrooms. Stories teach children about life, about ourselves, and about others. Most of the times, when children listen to a story, they identify themselves. Someone is there in the story. They see places, different people, relationships. They see how different things work and are interrelated. So, main objective is having fun. But what else does storytelling? How does it bring value to our classrooms? It encourages active participation. That is, what is active participation is that children are not just present in class, but they are actively listening, incorporating, they are making connections, they are engaging with teacher, and so the listening and speaking skills are happening. Um, Storytelling will help students remember what they are listening to, all the facts and all the details much better. Storytelling helps children make predictions and connections, explore new ideas, and storytelling helps convey very complex ideas in very simple ways. This I'm pretty sure all those teachers who said who were practicing, who have used stories, can attest to that. You can use stories to talk about complex things, and lastly, it will also help spark children's imagination and creativity. Storytelling benefits children in many different ways. Next slide. Storytelling sharpens children's memories. It's an excellent way that storytelling works, because when we are listening to a story, our minds, research has shown that our minds make connections to whatever we know about it before this. And so this kind of memory connections that are formed help us to learn better. It improves children's social skills as they learn how to pay attention and listen actively. They learn to become patient while listening to others. It introduces new vocabulary as children learn about new words that they are listening to in a story. And when children are listening to stories about different people from different worlds, from different geographies, from people who are very different from themselves, they understand a very new way of looking at the world, a very new way of understanding a situation. So that helps promotes empathy among students. For learning, it is very important that a child's brain is open and open to receive new ideas, uh, you know, um, new connections need to be formed in an environment where the child is feeling happy and relaxed. Stories do that in the most natural way, and as such, we when we are consciously using stories, this will be the most prominent benefit that we could get. So, what is inside a story? Let's see. Elements of a story. There are three key elements. There is the characters, there's the plot, and there's the setting. So when we say characters, characters are the people, animals, or creatures in a story. Who is the story about? This is the most overt element of the story. When we see, when we say who is in the story, this is the easily detectable, aspect element of the story that children can pick out. What else? Children can tell you very easily where is the story happening, when is the story happening. Is it happening in summer? Is it happening in winter? Is it happening in Iceland? Is it happening in Kashmir? Is it happening in Kerala? And this is the setting of the story. And the third overt thing is the plot. What is the plot? The plot is the timeline of the story. What is happening in the story? The different events from the beginning to the middle and to the end. This constitutes the plot of the story. Now, going ahead, there are, besides these, clear elements, there's this underlying elements in a story, which also, besides the first three, which is the characters, plot, and the setting, and the next three, that is the problem, the solution, and the key. These are the elements of a story which also become tools in our hands. So it helps to understand that every story would be having a problem, a solution, and a main key theme or a main idea that is being conveyed. A problem is something that the characters are facing. It's a conflict, it's a question, it's a doubt, and they are going to take some steps towards it. They are going to take some steps to arrive at a resolution of their question, at a solution for the problem. this needs to happen at the end of a story for the story to feel complete. And when this through the timeline that this is happening, one key message, usually one, sometimes there's more than one, but we try to stay with one, is the message or the key message, key takeaway, key theme of the story. So these are the elements. What are storytelling skills? Storytelling skills that I'm pretty sure most of you, because in my understanding, when you're using stories, you have used these storytelling skills. First and key important skill is voice modulation. There's a lot you can do with voice modulation. You can go very loud when a character is supposed to be very naughty or supposed to be a brash character, then you can increase the volume and speed. Or if a character is small in stature, like a sparrow, then you can make the voice very soft. That the sparrow is speaking softly. Or if it is a character that is a child and how do I say, a very demanding child, then you could make the child speak faster, isn't it? I think that is something that we have all experienced with our children. Or if the character is someone like your grandma, then she'll speak very slowly, isn't it? Or her voice would be weak. Or if it is somebody strong, then the voice becomes strong or basic. You can use pauses, you can use sound effects. All these things make a story interesting. When we are using voice modulation, one key thing that would help you to make the story interesting would be to think of an actual person or character you know. This would really help you to put that that Jan in the story, that when even when you are trying to tell a story about the tiger and the leopard, if you know the tiger as someone in one of the teachers in your teacher's room, then the voice would come out very right. So the other skill is that you have to use more than your words. You have to use your facial expressions, you have to use the movement, body language. Many times it helps if you have some props, some papers, toys to use for storytelling. It's not necessary, but it always helps. The third key skill would be engagement. To make sure, right, Manish, voice modulation really helps. So, engagement is when you talk to students, when you ask them questions. One key aspect of storytelling is that we are making sure that children are actively participating. uh, we are going to stop, we are going to look at them, we are going to check, how much are they with us, how much are they understanding, and hopefully be flexible enough in our stories to adapt. If we see that quite a few children are not going as fast as our story is moving, then we take a pause, then we talk about one of the characters more till everyone catches up and everyone is at the same point. Ask them questions, talk to them. So these are key points when we are telling stories. Now, do you remember we began this story with Asha? Asha is taking notes in this workshop, as you can see, and she's thinking, all this is very good, but how do I take it? How do I take it in my classroom? Is it going to be really useful for me? As you can see on the screen, she's wondering, this seems like a bit of work. How do I go about it? And on the next slide, we can see she thinks, I have a lot of work already. How do I begin? Can storytelling become easy for me? Or do I need to prepare much more again for this? So let's make this easy. Let's make thinking about how to include storytelling a bit easier in our everyday classrooms.
how do we go about it? Strategies for building the story. Firstly, as we saw, there were three underlying elements that we can use. These are the theme, purpose, the characters, the plots. So think of these as tools. Think of these as the questions you would ask yourself when you're trying to create a story from scratch. When you're trying to build a story, start with one single objective. I want my students to take away from the story. Try and avoid more than two learning objectives. Sometimes teachers think that the same story or the same thing can be used multiple ways. But if you're going to do that, then that learning needs to be given more time. It should hopefully happen at a different time. It can also be done that the story can be continued with a different purpose, with the same characters moving in a different landscape for new learning. But at one given point for one story, try to stay with one object. The characters and setting when you're trying to create a story should be relatable to the audience, to the children. Here, when we are trying to create a story for children, make sure that the characters are like children. Like if you're using animal characters, make sure they are behaving like or thinking like children. Or if you can use children themselves, or you can use cartoons which children like a lot. When we are creating characters in a story, keep it less is better. We need not overpopulate our stories. Children need to remember it from start to end. And the setting can be a place that you know more, are very comfortable with, or it could be a completely magical place where a lot of magical things can happen, and that will give you a lot of leeway in changing the story and changing how you progress the story if it's a magical place. And now that you have what is the theme, what are you trying to convey, and what how many characters you want and where should the story happen, then you come to the plot or the timeline or the beginning, middle, and end of the story. What will be the problem that your character will face? How will they resolve it? What will be the solution? And try to keep it simple. Okay. When the story is ready, what should you check? That the story is interesting. Children should enjoy it. You can use props, real life objects. Try to keep some part of it for students to guess. You could make it interesting in a very many different ways. Can teachers share, like, what are different ways in which you could make it interesting?
Yes, would any participants like to speak? Um, I say using the known names or maybe characters which are picked up from their own classroom, their own classmates, then
Right.
use of props, etc. Situations which they encounter in the daily routine that can make it relatable, interesting, or something which is relevant to the current situation of the country or the world, anything which is relatable for them.
Right. It always is very much fun if one of the names of students who is in the class is used in the story. Everyone has fun with that idea. Then the second thing is to make it engaging. How do you make it engaging? Engaging means that children are participating actively, talking to you. Asking questions is key. The teacher should be allowing for uh, hopefully open-ended responses from students, not just yes no questions. Um, lot of questions which are opinion based and which are why based. And after the story, there's a lot of scope for engaging with the story and the story ideas through role play or other manipulative tasks or activities that we can do. Lastly, make the story fun. Characters that act funny or talks funny or a situation that is funny. So I'm talking about engagement here, and I'm you know I'm in a slightly ironical situation. Subjective and objective perspective. That's a good point. So there's a lot you can do to include everyday silliness, to be aware of like ma'am said, that what is happening in the world today, how you could incorporate that in your stories. Children find it very, very engaging and very, very fun. Lastly, as long
Ma'am,
as the story is being told.
I would just like to share with everyone this first point where it says where the river spoke, stages of a river. Usually, this is taken under social studies. And I remember my teacher also teaching this in a lesson of Hindi. In Hindi lesson, it was about maybe about rivers. I was in sixth or seventh grade, so I don't exactly remember the lesson name or what it was about. But she presented it in a way as if the river is telling its story. So she said, Nadi ki zubani, Nadi ki kahani, Nadi ki zubani. And then she gave name, obviously, she took example of a particular river and the name of that river. And she kept telling the story as if that river, let's say Narmada. So Narmada अपनी खुद की कहानी अपने ओरिजिन से लेकर फिर रास्ते में वो किन किन जगहों से होकर गुजरती है, उसको कैसा लगता है उन जगहों को देखकर, कहाँ पर वो खुश होती है, कहाँ पर उसे अच्छा नहीं लगता है, कहाँ पानी को गंदा किया जा रहा है. So showing this inanimate object or even water or such water bodies as characters, as life characters, makes a lot of difference. So I think that was an interesting method my teacher had chosen. I think ma'am has got disconnected. Is that right? Or have I got disconnected?
No, ma'am is got disconnected.
Okay. So just like I shared this one example, which I remember, yeah, would anyone else like to share some story they remember from school time or college time, or they have used in the class?
Ma'am, I usually when I teach about .NET, like while I was working with college, and I had the subject of how do we develop web pages using .NET technology. So whenever we used to create navigation controls, like place navigation controls on the web page, there is a control called as sitemap path control, which basically tells you how you have traveled to that page. So initially, when this control was very new, it was named as breadcrumb control, and this was associated with Hansel and Gretel fairy tale, like where those two kids actually go into the forest, and when their stepmother used to leave them in the forest, and how do they return back? So they used to leave the pebbles, and one day the mother comes to know that this is the way they are returning back home, so she replaced all the pebbles with the breadcrumbs in that small bag in which they used to carry. And because they were very small, they could not realize that they have been replaced. So every day, next day also, when they were left in the forest, they started placing those breadcrumbs now, because it was something to be eaten up. There were birds and other small animals who actually ate up those breadcrumbs. So associated with this story, the control was developed by Microsoft. So usually to explain the purpose of that control, I make use of this fairy tale. So the students understand why do they have to place that sitemap navigation path control on the page for the users.
That's really fantastic. That's a beautiful example that you've shared.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deepa ma'am.
Truly.
Would someone else now take the lead and speak up? Share any story that you have used or you have seen your teachers use or any other colleague use. Meanwhile, Nishita, please make a call to Alaknanda ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello. Okay,
She's
ma'am,
back.
rejoined. So, ma'am,
Hi.
you had got disconnected. Hello. Am I audible, ma'am? Alaknanda ji. So today somehow God is testing Alaknanda ji and testing our patience for the talk. And you probably have this story to tell when we talk of how we have had different, so many Aadharshila talks. You may remember that we have faced such problems also. This becomes a part of our Aadharshila stories. So, yes, until ma'am tries to join, can
Ma'am, so
someone
meanwhile,
share?
uh, I did like to share my experience.
Please go ahead.
I was teaching students of 3, 4, and 5. So 4 and 5 are at a stage where they can understand parables and fables both. And that's when we introduced Vikram Betal in our storytelling sessions. And instead of closing it with Vikram's dialogues, because Vikram Betal, those people who don't know what is Vikram Betal's story, it goes like this. The first part of the story, Vikram and Betal have a pact that Betal tells a clue story where there is a clue inside. And Betal tells a story and Vikram has to find out what is the. So this Vikramaditya who has to find out uh, tells has to tell it, and if he doesn't tell what the answer to the clue or the question that is put up, he will his head will burst. And any which ways, Vikram becomes is one of the intelligent one in the town. So Betal seeks all the answers from Vikram, and his head bursts. Or if he tells, then Betal goes back to the tree. So Betal is the one who is immortal, who has never who never died, and he has a lot of stories to tell and a lot of clues for the other people to find answers to it. So throughout this whole sessions, he keeps telling one again he meets him. He wakes him up from the tree, and he keeps meeting Betal. Vikram keeps meeting Betal, and at one point, children told me, "Don't tell what Vikram has told. We will tell you the answer." So for me, I had to stop where Vikram chips in, and they became the Vikram eventually. And one of the stories which people have most heard is this four boys and the lion, the dead lion. So four boys get this blessing, and they learn the art of bringing anything alive on the planet. So they go to the forest and they find bones and all. Slowly they start filling up this thing with life, and in the end it's the lion who comes alive. It's the lion they fill the life in, and the lion eats them. All of them are dead. Now Betal asks Vikram, who is actually responsible for the death of themselves, like who is actually responsible. So uh, this was the question, and the children said, actually the lion is responsible for the death. And a few people said all four of them are responsible. Another one said the one who taught them how to bring people alive is responsible. Another one said the last one who brought the lion to the life is responsible for the death of them. So now now children gave so many answers, so beautiful answers. You cannot put anything into a basket and say this is the wrong answer and this is the right answer.
That's correct.
So that's the beauty of this story of Vikram
Right.
Betal, actually.
Thank you, Ranjani ji. It showed very clearly how children can be very creative,
Yeah.
and hence our questions should be open-ended. Now,
Yes. Thank you so
we
much.
can see Ms. Alaknanda ji on the screen, ma'am. Please take over.
Um, I'm going to make it quick. How can we use the elements of the stories as strategies when we are trying to create a story on a particular lesson plan, on a theme that we are trying to get through to children, you could use it. You could make it easier for yourself by using it as a character, by using it as a right. So using it as a stream, and by putting it in a plot. You could do either of them or all of them. Like for maths, you could use triangles and circles as characters in the story, or you could use it as a setting where Meena's visit to Banaras could become a setting for you to talk about the cities or the river. Uh, you could put it in a plot like the story of Bindu, raindrop, and the travel of that drop. So Asha has decided to give it a try. The first subject that she has decided to try this for is maths. Now, maths is a subject that many children shy away from. They find it a bit complicated because maths is a conceptual subject, and they don't get enough time to adjust to it, to engage with it concretely, and it moves on to the abstract level quite fast. Like for many students, by the time they are first semester, they if it would help a lot if maths is made alive for students through stories, through anecdotes. She decided to use a simple story to begin her class. Uh, there is this portal for Story Weaver from where she decided to pick up a story called Too Many Bananas. Let's watch the story.
Too Many Bananas, written by Noni. Sringeri Srinivas was having a very bad day. Nobody wanted the sweet, ripe bananas he was growing on his farm. Not his family, not his neighbor, not his friends, not the traders who could sell the bananas in faraway markets, and not even his cow. No, thank you, they all said. The bananas are very sweet, but we have had too many. We cannot eat anymore. Poor Sringeri Srinivas. What was he to do now with his rich harvest of bananas? He decided to seek help from the farmers' center in Dodduru, a big town near his village. Off he went carrying the best crop of bananas. Surely someone there would have a good idea for him. A few days later, Sringeri Srinivas returned home looking very happy. He went back to growing bananas on his farm. But he did not offer the fruits to anyone anymore. Not to his family, not to his neighbor, not to his friends, not to the traders who could sell the bananas in faraway markets, and not even to his cows. Everyone became very curious. Where were all the bananas going? One day, neighbor Shivanna arranged a very big puja. The priest asked him to get 108 ripe bananas as an offering to the gods. Shivanna ran to Sringeri Srinivas. I'm sorry for saying no to you before, but now I need 108 ripe bananas. Can you help me, please? Sringeri Srinivas tapped his chin. Well, my crop has just been cut, but let me see what I can do. You may start your puja. I will surely come. The puja started. The whole village came to watch. The priest began chanting. Soon it became time to offer bananas to the gods. Just then, in came Sringeri Srinivas carrying a big bag. From the bag, he carefully took out 27 packets and laid them out before the holy fire. Each packet was carefully wrapped in banana leaf. On each one was written High Quality Banana Halwa, SS Farms. Sringeri Srinivas offered one to the priest. Each one has the pulp of 4 bananas. There are 27 packets. So here are your 108 ripe bananas. The priest was so surprised that he forgot to chant. In the silence, one child began to laugh. Soon the whole village was laughing and clapping. Now we know what Sringeri Srinivas does with all the bananas that he grows.
Right. So Asha read this story out in her class, and her children had a lot of fun. They laughed and they began talking about whom they thought of when they heard the story of Sringeri. After that, negligence, yes, he was smart, and children were having fun. What is ma'am asked them? What is the story about? What did you like about the story? And there was this. Don't you think there was a bit of suspense in the middle of the story? What is he doing? Where are the bananas going? So they had a lot of fun talking about the story afterwards. After which Asha took up an activity where she asked them, "Okay, now I need 240 bananas for a party. How much do you?" And the children gave the answer. "Okay, I need 360 bananas for a marriage. How many packets do I need?" And in this way, they came to division. They arrived at a table of four. They arrived at division, and uh, Asha had a lot of fun, and her children, classroom students had a lot of fun. And what she really liked was weeks after she had finished teaching about division, children could remember division because they could remember Sringeri. So she decided to try this again. Now we have another example where I hope many of you have heard the story of Gruffalo. So Gruffalo's is a story where a mouse is going through a forest. He meets different animals. He meets the wolf. He meets the snake uh, and the owl, and somehow saves himself by creating a story about a Gruffalo. And then he actually finds the Gruffalo. And the Gruffalo has to be taken back through the same route, meeting all the same animals. After reading the story and having fun, she took up an activity where she created the forest in her classroom using tables, chairs, rides. That was the takeaway from the story, that how no matter how small you are, you can get yourself out of any situation. So she used the space in the classroom to create uh, a sort of a grid where she placed the items in the class and asked students to move from the woods to the stream. So now where is the mouse? Where is the owl? And when after the students moved and had fun with this activity, where she was giving instructions to them using directions: move right, move left, move 2 steps ahead, move 2 steps below. So this was replicated onto paper using a grid. a simple grid, 3 by 3 square grid, and it helps children understand movement. It helps children understand coordinates. Children who weren't very sure or children who are not catching up fast, they were asked to just count. So they can use the counting skills and say 2 counts up and 3 counts, 1 count down. This is helping improve their counting, positional, and directional skills. The next, the next slide will show you how children were able to learn very easily about the XY axis. Now, this is a very concrete way to bringing, what we denote on paper into we call a mechanism, something that they can do with their hands, something they can engage with and understand. And at this point, she felt confident enough to try attempting another way of engaging with the story, to create her own story. So let's look at another example where she created a story, Ria's New Party Dress. Ria was the 11-year-old girl in modern school. She loved cycling and playing with her best friend Anaya and dressing up. It was Ria's cousin sister's birthday next week, and she was going to wear her new black and white dress. When the day of the birthday party arrived, Ria was so excited. She went for the party and had a lot of fun. But while eating, she dropped curry on her dress. Oh my god, what to do? She hurried, went to the bathroom, quickly scraped it off, and quickly applied soap. Oh my god, the stain on the skirt turned red. Why do you think this happened? And she had got some turmeric and yes, that's right. Many of my teachers know that the curry was an indicator. Some students will be able to answer this and catch up, and the others can then try it out themselves. She got samples of turmeric, and all the students tried it out. That experiment and the story helped them remember that turmeric is an indicator of an acid or a base. Okay, these are different ways we've seen that we can engage with stories. Reading a story as preparatory, way of engaging with the topic. Could we could uh, follow-up activity which is closely entwined with the story, or could be which is completely problem-based, and then using the story, like the solution of the story, the plot of the story, as your key lesson takeaway. Engage. There's another way that you could do it by making children participate. So, uh, is an example of how do we make children participate in a story. It's called story building activity. I'm sure some of you have tried it. The the expects you to begin with clear instruction and help students move through the story in an interesting manner. Now, the teacher should be sure of what they are trying to convey. The teacher is trying to tell them about and about the drop of water whose story can move from point to point. Should we, okay, uh, kind of out of time because of my network issues, not playing it now. So Asha has tried out different ways of engaging with stories. She's very, very happy that she is now able to use storytelling to make teaching fun for herself and students. There's another story that I want to end with, in which we have used a story to build to let children imagine themselves in really wonderful situations, and this will hopefully trigger us to do the same. The story is uh, when I fall.
When I Grow Up, written by Priyadarshini Gogoi, illustrated by Tariq Aziz, narrated by Kavya Srinivasan. When I grow up, I will build many things, big and small things, wild and amazing things. I will use science to build them all. First, I will build a bridge. After that, I will build a very tall tower. And then I will build the longest road in the world. It will start at my room and go right up to the moon. When I build these structures, I will be a civil engineer. I will build engines too. Some engines will be in rockets and some will be in planes. The planes will take us from country to country, and the rocket will fly us all the way to Mars. My NIDEA will come with me on all my trips. When I build flying engines, I will be an aerospace engineer. I will build a vehicle that travels under the sea. It will be made of steel and aluminium, and it will be very fast. We will swim with the fish, sharks, and whales. And Idea will say, "Slow down, Papori." But secretly, she will love it too. When I build my submarine, I will be a marine engineer. But I won't stop at that. I will produce electricity from small particles. One tiny particle will light up our whole village. And Idea will be so happy that she will throw a big feast. When I make power like that, I will be a nuclear engineer. I'm not done yet. Next, I will build a robot. Her name shall be Gogo. Gogo and I will have many adventures. We will paint the walls and do the dishes. We will catch an idea many, many fishes. When I build my robot, I shall be a robotics engineer. Gogo and I will build a firewall. It will guard computers and the internet from bad guys trying to steal other people's secrets. I will be like a superhero. An idea will be so proud. When I protect the internet, I will be a cybersecurity engineer. I will build a machine to clean the sea and another to clean the air. The animals will be healthy and the people will breathe easy. I will save the earth with my machines. When I make machines to clean the planet, I will be an environmental engineer. I will build a new ear for Pem Pem. She lost it in a fight. Grrr. Then I will build a new set of teeth for Enidio. Finally, I will build wings for me. When I build artificial body parts, I will be a biomedical engineer. And I will soar over the world looking for more things to build. Engineers build our world. Engineers make, plan, and design the world around us. They build computers, machines, structures, and materials that make our lives easier. Who built the television in your home? The cars and buses on the streets? The X-ray machines in the hospital? They were all planned and built by engineers.
Ma'am, you are on mute.
So I'm sorry. So I was saying that these are a lot of places and a lot of ideas that are much easily brought into the classroom, are much easily discussed with students through stories. Stories can help spark children's imagination and help them think about space, about robotics, I'm pretty sure teachers too are going to have a lot of fun when you engage with stories this way. So, what did we see today? We saw that storytelling is pretty easy. You can make it fun. You can use elements of a story to help think through building a new story. And there are very simple things that you need to remember when you're going to try it out. You have to make sure that children are allowed to sit and talk to and ask questions. Uh, for that, you need to build in time for children to talk and engage. You have to make it interesting because that's the whole point of the story. It has to be fun. You have to trust the story and the process. Sometimes the lesson that you want to draw from the story might be underlying and it will take time, but it will arrive. What you should not do is you know read like the boring professor I had in college who said हाँ तो आज हम ये सीखने वाले हैं कि so try to use voice modulation basic skills. Storyteller is a step ahead of the teacher of focus and some props but not necessary. And when you're engaging with them through a story, try to complete the story before you add on an activity or give them a task to do. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Uh, Things are not going to work out, very fine. When like Asha, when you start engaging with it as a pedagogical tool, maybe it will take some time for things to settle down and you find your rapport with children, but you will, and it will be great. Go with few expectations and keep it simple. Storytelling is one of the easiest ways. Once you get used to it, it will be something that you could incorporate across all subjects, not just languages, which obviously is pretty easy, but also across a host of our subjects. Right. Thanks a lot. Open to any questions, any specific, points that you may ask us.
Friends, if you have any questions and thoughts, please unmute yourselves and speak up.
Or you could share your experience.
Yes, the feedback of today's session. You could type or you could unmute and speak up.
Sure.
Yes, so we are, ma'am, we are getting the responses.
Right.
These are the learnings that, yes, children can, storytelling will help in dynamic and more entertaining learning. Then we
Right.
can use good language that kids can understand. Yes, no jargons. Teachers must be more
No jargon.
conscious of this. Storytelling is about self-expressions. Right.
Self-expression. That's right.
So teachers, if you have understood something new or liked something which impacted you the most in today's session, you might either type or you can speak up.
Do you find any of the activities feasible in your class? Yes, yes. Storytelling also definitely because children identify a lot with the key character of the story. So the value character is exhibiting value that the child will walk away from. You know?
Yes, storytelling can help us to understand students' thinking pattern. Then movie Coach Carter, where a basketball coach uses different names tell stories related to different techniques. Okay,
Right.
wonderful.
That's true. That's true. It falls to storytelling is a very simple and easy way of information. That's why the learning that will happen through storytelling will stay longer, will last.
Correct. So very glad to see our sports coach, in fact, our sports coordinator, Mr. Glenn, also planning to use storytelling as a method for for creating curiosity and interest in sports. Okay, ma'am, I hope you can access the chat here.
Thank you. Lot of responses coming.
Yes. So we also request our participants to fill the feedback form. The link has been pasted for you here. Ma'am, I think this is something very interesting for teachers to explore across subjects and grades. They will now start thinking of concepts where they can bring in stories to simplify, to make it enjoyable for students and also for them to retain longer. Thank you very much for making this pedagogical tool of storytelling very simple for everyone to understand, for decoding the various elements of storytelling, what are the benefits and what are the strategies one can use to build stories for various concepts from different subjects. It was really a very beneficial session. This pedagogical tool has to be adopted by each and every teacher. We look forward to your responses and to your feedback when you implement this pedagogy in your classrooms. Ma'am, we would like to express our gratitude through this little video on the screen now.
I'm glad to be.
Thank you. In addition
Nice.
to all the
Thank you.
takeaways that we got from your session, I would like to highlight to everyone that in the midst of all the technological hassles, ma'am did not lose her calm. And that's one big takeaway for all of us, to accept situations, to not fret over things, but get onto our job without worrying about anything and do your best in the given situations. Ma'am, I think that was again a very powerful takeaway. I would also like to express appreciation for all the attendees who bore with all the hassles and in network getting lost from time to time, but still being in the conversation and being engaged in the talk. So thanks to you participants and thanks to Alaknanda ji for such an enriching experience. I wish you a very bright future because you are brightening up future of millions of children through your sessions by inspiring teachers and also the work that your institute is doing. We are very, very proud to be associated with you. Thank you for being in Aadharshila.
I'm very glad. I'm very glad.
And thanks to Ms. Shilpa Gore, who has connected me to you. So we look forward to the 89th Aadharshila talk next Monday, 14th of March. You would be delighted to meet the next speaker and would really be very thankful for the takeaways from the next Aadharshila talk as it happens every single Monday. Next week, you'll be listening from the professor from Stanford University. Let's see him then on Monday and see you all on Monday. Thank you once again, Alaknanda ji. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. All the best to all the participants.
Thanks to all our participants who have joined from various institutions across the country.